Okay, so I'm going to use a different heart for this video because the left side looks really good in it. This is the posterior surface of the heart. This is the anterior surface. For the left side of the heart, a lot of things are the same, but I'm going to concentrate on those that are not. Again, in the left side, they often cut off the pulmonary veins that are bringing oxygen-rich blood from the lungs back to the heart. So we've gone from the right side, oxygen-poor blood flowing into the right atrium, down through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle, up into the pulmonary trunk, and then to the lungs through the pulmonary arteries, which we don't have intact. And then after it circulates around the lungs, it comes back to the heart via the right and left pulmonary veins. They are usually missing. So this would be the opening where the left pulmonary veins would empty into the left atrium. And then, let's see if we can figure it out from inside here. The right pulmonary veins, they kind of cross behind the heart. It's real hard to see here, but they would empty also into the right atrium. Let me move my camera just a bit so we can see this better. All right, so I'm looking in the left atrium now. Again, we've got, sorry, that's my son texting me. Oh, this is hard to do one-handed. We've got pectinate muscle in the front. It's a little bit hard to see. There we go. And then the smooth posterior surface of the atrium here. So oxygen-rich blood has now come into the left atrium. That would be this space here that's been cut open. We have another valve here, another atrioventricular valve that has two big flaps. One, and then we've got half on one side and half on the other. This one's called the bicuspid valve. Bicuspid because it has two flaps instead of three, like on the other side. Also an atrioventricular valve, because it's between an atrium and a ventricle. Also going to allow blood to flow from the atrium into the ventricle, pretty much passively, a little bit of contraction. And also anchored by chordae tendineae, which are strings here. And those are anchored, I'm going to show on the other side here, to papillary muscle, which are going to contract along with the rest of the muscle there in the ventricle and pull on these chordae tendineae, keeping the valve flaps from ballooning backwards into the left atrium. In the left side of the heart, we still have trabeculae carneae, but no moderator band here. No moderator band on the left side of the heart in the sheep. Okay, just on the right side. Also, notice how thick this muscle is. We call the muscle of the heart myocardium. Myo meaning muscle, cardium referring to the fact that it's in the heart. This is myocardium. One thing I didn't show on the right side, which might be a little bit easier here on the left, is the inner surface of these chambers is also covered in a membrane, which I'm kind of lifting up here, called endocardium. Okay, a little thin membrane that lines the chambers of the heart called endocardium. So when the left side contracts, the left ventricle, this area down here, that is going to push against these valve flaps, which will be held closed by the chordae tenonnae and the contraction of the papillary muscles. So the only way for the blood to go will be up through the aorta. Okay, so the blood is now going to flow up through the aorta. It too has a valve like the pulmonary trunk called the aortic semilunar valve, and it's going to be really tough to see here. It is a valve at the base of the aorta, so down in here, that has the little flaps that cup upward. And as blood is flowing through the aorta, it pushes those valve flaps open, allows the blood to go up into the aorta and out to the head through the brachiocephalic artery, which is this big guy. It's the first branch off the aorta. So my probe is going into the brachiocephalic artery here, which divides a little bit further up, and we don't have the division here. Oh yeah, we kind of do. Into the right subclavian, and then this that got chopped away would be the right common carotid. And then the aorta continues on around in a big arch out here, and we would have a left common carotid and a left subclavian. The carotid arteries feed the head, and the subclavians feed the arms. And then the aorta would continue on from its arch over the top to the back and down to the rest of the body. Now, when the heart stops contracting, any blood left in the aorta is going to fall back against those two flaps of the aortic semilunar valve and close them. Keep blood from going backwards into the ventricle. Okay. I'm going to end here. We'll use a model for the cardiac circulation because it's much easier to see.